video is about repotting my ficus bonsai. It is overwhelming the amount of information out there about potting soil for ficus, and bonsai in general is just vast. There are so many different opinions. There are so many different recipes. It's just too much. I have gathered together a lot of the materials and ingredients that I have been reading about, and there are many opinions on each one, on ratios, and I felt a little bit overwhelmed. And there were a couple of issues that I ran into, and one of them was Akadema clay, a product that is produced in Japan that is very commonly used for all kinds of bonsai. So I was looking for alternatives to Akadema. Let me figure out what the characteristics of that clay that makes it important. Okay, what other products can I find that will mimic those characteristics? It was about particle size more than anything else. Other ingredients like lava rock, pumice, those are also materials that will retain some moisture, and then the plant can absorb that moisture back from it as it grows, because these particular ficus bonsai have really, really tiny, fibery, thread-like roots. One reason they use Akadema and pumice rock instead of just lava rock is that the roots can't grow into it. And that's important because when you go to repot it later, if the roots have grown into lava rock, it can be very damaging to them when you disturb them, because it will rip and tear apart. Also, leca was suggested. Leca is something I'm familiar with. Leca is something I've used for many purposes over the years, not just for our aquaponic systems that we've had in the past. There are two different kinds of leca. I'm going to try to do a soil mixture. So this is the type of leca that I'm choosing to use. Here's a piece that is broken so you can see how porous it really is, and the uneven texture, which is similar in some ways to lava rock and pumice. But these two pieces are particularly large, and they're going to be too big for my purpose. Bonsai soil is very, very fine and very, very sandy. Cocoa coir or cocoa peat in a small quantity to help maintain moisture. A perlite, as long as the perlite is a consistent size, and the consistent size of the particles and ingredients seems to be one of the more common threads in the information that I've been reading. Some of the other suggestions have been using orchid bark and orchid soil. So I have an orchid mix here that I'm also going to use. Most of the mixture ratios are half of the potting soil that you're using. In this case, I'm going to be using orchid soil mix and some of the sandy grit mix. I'm going to mix those two together, and I'm going to use that combination of the gritty sandy soil and the orchid mix with bark and perlite in it. That will be half of what I mix. A fourth of it will be this leca that is similar to pumice, and then a fourth of that will be a mixture of cocoa coir. Okay, pots. One of the big things is that they've really got to drain well. I have 5 ficus that I'm going to be repotting, and I wanted them to look pretty together and be sort of uniform. So I wanted the same pot for each one, but these have little teeny tiny drains. So I'm going to get out my drill, and I'm going to drill larger holes so that I'm sure that this is draining properly. This is a 3/16 size drill bit. It is a blustery day out there. Uniformity of size was one of the key factors in every single different article I read. I'm going to sort through my leca up to 1/4 of an inch in size. Okay, in order to make that easier for myself, I picked a pot with holes big enough to kind of sort through. So now I'm going to clean them. Should have already done that to avoid the dust that I was just breathing. Not a good idea. So now it's time to mix the sand and perlite mixture to it. Orchid bark soil with lots and lots of perlite in it. Very small amount of coco coir. My leca, so many conflicting ideas about what is and is not good bonsai soil. So I am doing my best. The electricity just went out. It is a very stormy day. So I'm gonna keep filming. My generator just came on, but not my electricity. Okay. Well, this is a blustery and exciting day. I'm going to keep filming. Okay, it's a little bit scary right now. Okay, here's my first baby. Some of the information that I've read on bonsai advice websites and forums suggest using that sandy bonsai pre-made soil on the bottom of your pot before you put in the bonsai and a final layer of soil. And I'm going to use the leca instead of that, because these are larger ginseng ficus than some bonsai that you will see where they're actually little tiny maple trees or little tiny junipers. Okay, so I'm going to be putting some larger leca in the bottom to help it drain. I'm not worried about the perch water table, which is the concern that if you put pebbles or leca in the bottom of a pot underneath a potted plant, that water will collect at the bottom of the plant where the soil ends and the leca or pebbles start. That is not something I'm worried about with this particular situation, because this soil is a very, very good draining soil. It's not going to retain a lot of water. The perched water table is a problem when you're using traditional potting soils that retain a lot of moisture, because they can gather moisture at the bottom of the soil because gravity pulls this moisture down and it doesn't drain very well. So that's not going to be a problem in this situation. My pots, I've drilled holes in so that they drain really, really well. This is all based on the research that I'm doing, but anybody who might have been concerned about the perch water table, when I do potted plants with no drainage and I do that method in those pots that don't drain, I am not concerned about the perched water table there either, because I don't pour water into plants that are potted without drainage holes. I only moisten them using spray bottles or squeeze bottles. In this case, we're going to be pouring water into the pot and it is going to be draining out. And because we're not using a typical potting soil that might retain a great deal of moisture and water, causing a problem at the bottom of the pot where the soil is, this is not going to be a concern for me today. And I'm using at least 1/2 inch to 1 inch pieces. I want it to sit up high, partially because of the aesthetic of seeing the roots and being able to see through them. And also I want them up high so they will drain well. Let's test that perch water table theory and see how well our bonsai soil drains. Yay! Look at that. I'm very excited. So hopefully this works. Hopefully all of my research pays off. Again, there's so many conflicting ideas about ratios and what to use and what not to use. Hopefully this will work. I hope you guys give it a try, and if you have better ideas or suggestions, go ahead and let us know in the comments, because I'm not the only one who's looking for information about this particular subject. I will let you guys know in a few months how it's going and if my little guys are happy or not. See you later. Have fun gardening.